They're back. 3 years of pausing federal student loan payments, and now the pause is actually ending for real. Yay! Which might be stressing you out, but that's okay, because we're going to walk through what you need to do between now and October. And hey, if you know somebody else who could use that guidance, please pass this video along. Now, why am I telling you to worry about this now when October is months away? Well, I'm not telling you to worry about it now. Odds are, I don't have to. A lot of people are going to be worrying about this for the next few months without any help from me. My goal is to help you stop worrying about it by giving you a way to navigate and take back control of this situation. So what's actually happening? Student loans will start accruing interest on September 1st, with actual payments starting in October. Now, for people who are struggling, there is a 12-month on-ramp period from October 1st, 2023 to September 30th, 2024. What does that mean? Usually, after 90 days of missing payments, your credit score starts dropping, making it harder to get things like loans or credit cards. And normally, if you missed payments for too long, your servicer could start hitting you with big, fat fees, making a bad situation worse. But federal loan servicers won't be allowed to do that during the on-ramp period. So basically, it's another pause? Well, no. During the pause, interest rates were 0. So your balance remained the same if you made no payments. But now, every missed payment means more interest piling onto your balance. So don't use this on-ramp to put off dealing with those loans if you can pay. That will just leave you with more debt. Plus, you have better options, which we'll discuss later in the video. But enough preamble. What should you do right now, like end of this video right now, to put yourself in the best possible situation in October? First, find out your monthly payment. Contact your student loan servicer, and if you're unsure who that is, you want to contact your financial aid office to find out. You want to know exactly how much you'll need to pay in October, down to the penny. Now, trying to squeeze that payment into your current lifestyle might feel like trying to squeeze a hippo onto a crowded elevator. It's going to be a tight fit, and you're just not sure if there's room. Something in your life will probably need to change to accommodate that payment. You need to tighten up your spending. But what does that actually mean? When do you spend less? And on what? The only things those vague intentions give you are guilt and anxiety whenever you spend. And you don't need that. You probably have enough already. What you need is clarity. What you need is to know what it actually costs to be you. What you need is a budget. If you've never made one before, it's simpler than you think. And if you have made one before, stick with me, because this might be a bit different than what you're used to. I'm going to show you how to budget in the YNAB app because of course I am. It's specifically built to help you implement a lot of the advice I'm going to give you, and it actually has a really nifty student loan management feature, which I'll probably talk about more in a future video. So if you want to use that, I highly recommend hopping onto a 34-day free trial of the app to see if it works for you. But if you prefer a notebook or your own spreadsheet, then the YNAB police won't find you. They're very bad at their job. The first part's easy. Write down all of your monthly bills minus your student loan payment. We'll add that at the end. Next, write down what you think you need for your regular spending on important stuff like groceries, transportation, blah, blah, blah. If it's your first time doing this, you'll probably need to make some educated guesses. That's fine. When in doubt, just guess high. Once you've written all that down, you've got the bare bones of what it costs for you to survive in a given month. Now compare that number to how much you make in a month and ask yourself, do I have room for that student loan payment? If the answer is no, don't worry, we'll talk about your options. But you'll want to stick around because the rest of this is still important for you to think about. If the answer is yes, then add that loan payment to your budget. If you still have income left over, go ahead and add some categories for the stuff you enjoy. Just make sure you're not going over your monthly income, because then you got to go into debt and get your kneecaps broken and stuff. And we're done, right? Well, no, not actually. Because if something is going to throw you off, it's probably not going to be your groceries or your internet bill. It's going to be accidentally putting your phone through the washer, or finding out your best friend is having a destination wedding for some reason. You've never even been to Sicily. Why do you want to go there? We have pizza here. What you've written down is a helpful baseline, but what it costs to be you changes from month to month, sometimes to the tune of hundreds or thousands of dollars. So how do you handle the waterlogged phones and Sicilian weddings of life? Simple. You start preparing for them now. And you do that by treating everything like a monthly subscription. $240 for a car registration can be a frustrating surprise, but setting aside $20 a month for 12 months is pretty doable. A lot of people couldn't handle a $1,500 car repair without a crisis or a credit card. But a lot of those same people could put aside $150 a month for the next visit to the shop. So take some time to list those non-monthly expenses. This includes repairing stuff, replacing stuff, subscriptions, registrations, trips you want to take, anything that doesn't happen on a regular monthly basis, but is going to happen. Then figure out how much you need to set aside each month to cover that expense. If you're using YNAB, it can actually tackle most of the math for you, which I think is pretty sick. Some of these numbers will be super specific, while others will be more of a guess. That's fine. You can always adjust them later. By accounting for all those non-monthly expenses, you smooth out that financial roller coaster with all of its spikes and dips. It turns into like a lazy river of consistent numbers. It's boring, but it's a good boring. It's a safe boring. Of course, this new budget might add up to more than your monthly income. If that's the case, you'll need to do a little or a lot of tweaking to get back within your means. So think about your priorities, your personality, your circumstances. Where are your dollars going to produce the most happiness and security for you right now? Keep asking that question and tweaking until you've got a budget that fits within your monthly income. Now you've got a plan that factors in your student loans, your non-monthly expenses, and all the other stuff you need. So how do you put this bad boy into action? First, you're going to assign dollars within your budget. Now you might say, wait, I thought I just did that. Well, think of each category in your budget as an envelope. You've decided how much money you want to put in those envelopes, but you haven't actually put anything in them yet. When you assign money to a category, you're putting dollars in that envelope, so you know they're ready to spend when you need them. I might plan to spend $500 on groceries this month, but maybe I only need $300 between now and my next paycheck. So look at all the money you have access to right now, checking and savings, and ask yourself, what does this money need to do before I get paid again? And start stuffing envelopes. You do that until you've given every dollar a specific job, and yes, that includes the dollars in your savings account. If you fill up your monthly budget before you run out of money, then you can think about beefing up some categories or start assigning that money for next month's expenses so you can start to get ahead. But what if you run out of money before the month is full? That's fine. Just stick with the dollars you have right now. You can assign the dollars from your next paycheck when you actually get it. This may seem fiddly, but it's actually a huge step toward having more clarity and more control. Because now when you look at your budget, you're not just seeing what you want the month to look like, you actually know what you can afford to spend right now. Of course, for this to work, you need to track your spending too. Now, YNAB can import your spending automatically, but you can always just track this stuff yourself. Either way, you'll want to make sure you're updating your budget at least every few days to make sure you have a clear view of your spending and how much money you have left in each category. But what happens if, and let's face it, when you spend more than you planned? Maybe gas prices are spiking, or maybe you wanted to treat yourself to a schmancy charcuterie night. Either way, you go to the same thing. You do the same thing. I don't know what I was trying to do there. If you've only got $100 in an envelope and you need to pull out $150, you can't make dollars just magically appear. That $50 has to come from at least one other envelope. So you pull some money from a different envelope, and that's it. That's the whole thing. You might say, well, doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose of the envelopes? No, it's actually their superpower. The goal isn't to make sure all your dollars stay in their original envelopes. They won't. Life just doesn't work that way. The goal is to make sure your spending is lining up with your priorities. If I spend an extra $50 on takeout this month, am I going to pull money from my gaming category, car repairs, my Tokyo trip fund? What actually matters to me, and in what order? And once I've moved those dollars from one envelope to another, I've closed that loop. I don't have to wonder how my takeout splurge will affect my life because I've already decided how it will. And I don't have to feel bad. I changed my plan to reflect my priorities, and I did it intentionally, and I did it responsibly, and I'm good. I'm fine. I'm a good guy. I'm a good budgeter, man. This kind of budget gives you the flexibility to change your plan when you change your mind without losing any security or clarity. And that's the kind of budget that lasts. That budget is goals. That budget is fam. That budget is lit. So if you do all that, you're going to be set for October. But here's a little trick that might make that transition even smoother. Start setting aside your student loan payment now. You're building a cushion. If you're nervous about payments causing you problems, imagine how you'll feel knowing that you've got 3 months of payments in the bank ready to go. But second, and more importantly, you're acclimating yourself. Listen, I live in flat Kansas, but I love going to Colorado. And whenever I go to Colorado, the first day sucks because my head needs to adjust to the thin mountain air. But once I'm used to it, I'm fine. Same thing here. Give yourself time to get used to this new expense, even though you're not actually paying it. You'll probably be surprised how quickly you adjust. And then, when everybody else is stressing about their payments coming due, you're calm, you're confident, because you not only have the money, but you've already adjusted to that new normal. They'll be like, look at that guy, he's so adjusted. And now it's time to talk about the elephant in the room. What if you run your numbers and you just can't afford that payment right now? If your loans are primarily federal, get on the new SAVE income-driven plan. If you aren't already on an income-driven plan, then your payment is probably a fixed number based on what you originally borrowed. But an income-driven plan is different. It calculates your payment based on what you make. More specifically, your payment is equal to 10% of your discretionary income, which is determined by a combination of what you make, how big your family is, and what the poverty line is in your state. It all gets a bit mathy, so if you want to know the exact calculation, we'll have a link to the details in the description below. Bottom line, this plan will lower your payment significantly, sometimes to, and I'm not joking, $0 a month. And once you've made a certain number of payments, and yes, that includes your $0 payments, your remaining balance is forgiven. The catch is that you will be paying your loan for longer, around 20 to 25 years, although that might be changing in the near future. Simply put, if you can't make payments right now, this is almost certainly your best option. It allows you to make progress toward getting rid of that debt without shipwrecking your finances. You can go to studentaid.gov/IDR to find out if you're eligible and apply for an income-driven plan. Now that we've addressed the elephant in the room, it's time to talk about the walrus in the room, because they also have tusks. The student loan forgiveness plan was struck down by the Supreme Court, but that doesn't mean forgiveness is off the table completely. The Biden administration is trying to use a different route to grant some form of student loan forgiveness, but they've warned it's going to take a long time, probably a year or more. So should you hold your breath for that? Should you wait to pay your loans until then? Probably not. Like I said, interest is going to keep building on those loans you aren't paying. And we could be talking about a year or more of will they, won't they, when it comes to some kind of debt relief. We have no idea whether the end result is going to look anything like what was originally proposed, and it's always possible that more lawsuits will come up, meaning more waiting, uncertainty, and potential disappointment. I would recommend taking control of your situation now so that you know you can afford whatever outcome occurs. If forgiveness does happen, let it be a pleasant surprise, not something you're counting on. I know the last few years have been a roller coaster for student loan borrowers. There's been a lot of waiting on what other people are going to do or not do, and you've had very little say in any of it. But this is something you have a say in. This is something where you're the boss. And the good news is you have time to figure out what kind of budget works for you, and time to build these habits. If you want to learn how to set up your plan in the YNAB app, you'll find a link to our video tutorial in the description below, as well as a video on how to start knocking out your debts if you're feeling particularly feisty. And if you want more great budgeting advice, just search for YNAB on your social media platform of choice. But that's it for this video. I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for watching.